called on all health workers across Nigeria to support governments with federal and state in curtailing the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. This was contained in a letter jointly signed by the National Chairman and Secretary of the Johesu by Joy, Josiah, and Ekpebo Florence. The leadership of Johesu thanked members in their courageous efforts so far, especially those at border entry points, emergency units, ICU, and in various isolation centers. Johesu also commended its members, for their resilience and commitment to combat the dreaded COVID-19 menace, saying that despite agitations among health workers over unkept commitments and promises before federal and state governments, health workers have stood tall in the forefront as first respondents in stemming the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The leadership of Johesu called for both the federal and state government to provide the needed tools like PPEs and other necessary gadgets for the protection of members at this very trying time of the nation, just as the President Muhammadu Buhari for an instructive broadcast on the COVID-19 while demanding strong inclusion of their members in the implementation of the virus economic stimulus measures, interventions, and palliative mentioned in the speech to motivate health professionals and staff. The federal government says it is making efforts to release some truckload of fertilizers in Port Harcourt due to the lockdown. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, made the disclosure while answering questions from newsmen during a media briefing in Abuja. The SGF, who is the chairman of the President Task Force on COVID-19, said the government is in talks with relevant agencies to ensure that the trucks are released.
In the President's broadcast, it was only Lagos Port. Now we've included the ports in Port Harcourt and all other operations of movement of essential products. And in the protocol that was released by the national coordinator, farms, distribution of foods and perishables, manufacturing of foods, drugs, pharmaceutical and essential products related to the response are all exempted. So that is adequately covered. All we need to do is to work with the subnational government in Port Harcourt to ensure that all trucks and tankers have a free flow. Because it's not only trucks from the ports or from the factories. There is the issue of even tankers that are conveying petroleum products that are trapped in a very long gridlock of traffic in the Port Harcourt area. But I believe that is being resolved as of now.
The controller of the Nigerian Correctional Service in Port Harcourt, Olumide Tunoye, has been speaking on the difficulties in observing social distancing inside the facility in Port Harcourt. Controller Tunoye said due to congestion in the facility, it has been difficult observing social distancing among the inmates in the Port Harcourt Correctional Facility. In a telephone interview with our correspondent, Uchendu Ejowa, the controller, however, confirmed that there has not been any record of new inmates, neither has any left the facility in recent time due to the suspension of court activities. He also disclosed that they have been able to set up an isolation center within the facility to separate inmates with signs of the COVID-19, even if they have not recorded any case so far.
Well, there's very little we can do. Like I said, it's been congested before. But now the fact that the court is not in session, and we're not getting admission, a lot of our inmates are getting released and no one is coming in. But at the social distancing, there's very little we can do in terms of social distancing because we don't have any extended cells that we can put them. The only thing we have put in place is to have an isolation center in the prison so that if there's anybody that is sick, we take to the clinic. If it's diagnosed to be having any symptoms that we give symptoms, we isolate them and put them in a separate place where we know that there's no problem. But for now, we don't have any problem as regards the coronavirus anyway.
The Port Harcourt Correctional Service Board has reviewed that other necessary measures has been set up within and around the facility to avoid possible spread of COVID-19. And on the foreign scene, Britain is reported to have recorded 563 daily coronavirus deaths on Wednesday. This is the first time the national toll has exceeded 500, bringing the total number of fatalities to 2,352 and 52. Report from the Health Ministry indicates that of those hospitalized in the UK who tested positive for coronavirus, 352 have sadly died. Britain locked down last week in an attempt to combat the virus, but Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who himself has tested positive, warned that it would get worse before it gets better. And now that was the news update by 8 here on your premium talk radio station, Today95.1 FM. I am Success David. Please stay tuned to this radio dial for other programs yet to come.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Have you heard that coronavirus has been confirmed in Nigeria?
My brother, don't panic. The Federal Ministry of Health and Nigeria Center for Disease Control have advised that everyone should do the following to stay safe. Wash your hands regularly with soap under running water. Use hand sanitizer if there is no water. Cover mouth with bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose the used tissue and wash your hands immediately. Avoid touching eyes, nose, mouth with unwashed hands. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces such as door locks, tables, and chairs. Avoid close contact with sick persons or anybody coughing or sneezing.
Please, Mary, what are the symptoms of coronavirus?
Any person infected with coronavirus can have fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, and shortness of breath.
Don't panic. Coronavirus is preventable. If you have traveled to any country with reported local or community transmission, stay indoors and away from people for 14 days. If you develop any of the symptoms mentioned above, call the Nigeria Center for Disease Control NCDC toll-free line 0800-97000010. Share information about coronavirus only from verified sources like the Federal Ministry of Health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, and the World Health Organization WHO. This message is from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control NCDC, the Federal Ministry of Health, and partners.
I am a proud Nigerian. I have been placed here by God for a time such as this.
The degradation, challenges, and problems faced by Nigeria are the perfect backdrop for me to develop and utilize my God-given potential.
I will not complain. I will not criticize. Rather, I will use my skills, gifts, relationships,
and experience to find long-lasting and revolutionary solutions to the many challenges confronting Nigeria.
Nigeria will rise again.
Because I am here, I will leave this nation
a better place than I met it. I will work to make Nigeria a praise on the earth.
I will work to make Nigeria a praise on the earth. So help me God.
Let me tell you how I got this far.
This message is brought to you by Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Whether it's happening in Port Harcourt, South, Nigeria, or around the world, we've got you covered on air, online, delivering balanced news and unbiased analysis. Today, 95.1 FM.
Good evening. This is Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt, Voice of the People, and it is time again for a rundown of the foreign news stories that made the headlines on the world today. In our package tonight, late world-renowned South African scientist Gita Ramji receives tribute. Europe records more than 30,000 deaths from coronavirus. German cruise ship defies others to leave port in Western Australia. Israel converts some missiles production lines to ventilators to help curb the spread of coronavirus. I am Success David. South Africa. Tributes are being paid to world-renowned South African scientist Gita Ramji, who has died from COVID-19 related complications. Head of United Nations Aid, Winnie Byanyima, said Professor Ramji's death was a huge loss at a time when the world needed her most. South Africa has the largest number of people living with HIV in the world. The country has begun a 3-week lockdown as part of efforts to stop the spread of coronavirus. The United Nations has said the current coronavirus outbreak is the biggest challenge for the world since World War II. Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned it could bring a recession that probably has no parallel in the recent past. His warning comes amid their predictions about the possible economic impact of the measures imposed to fight the virus. The number of confirmed cases around the world is now nearing 860,000, with more than 42,000 deaths. Meanwhile, in Europe, the coronavirus pandemic has claimed more than 30,000 lives. This was reviewed in a global tally showed today in what the head of the United Nations has described as humanity's worst crisis since World War II. Italy and Spain are the most hit nations from the coronavirus. Spain reported a record of 864 deaths in 24 hours, pushing the country's number of facilities past 9,000. This is second to Italy, where the virus has killed nearly 12,500 people. The virus, which started in Wuhan, China since December 2019, has spread across the globe, claiming over 43,000 lives and infecting more than 860 people. Now to the rest of the story. Someone here, Chinedu Iwuna, is going to continue the rest of the story before we go over to the analysis.
Yeah, basically we are going to be analyzing what's going on around the world, especially with the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, I said, okay, yes. I said we're just going to be analyzing what's going on around the world, particularly the stories of coronavirus. I'm sure most of the stories you've read has almost all of them has coronavirus. The one you talked about, the death of Jitaramji, is a world-renowned scientist. Actually, one of the scientists that have been working on preventing HIV.
Yes.
Especially in South Africa. Unfortunately, she lost her life due to coronavirus, and it's a painful one because she's renowned to be a very intelligent, a very hardworking
scientist. Yes.
Particularly in South Africa, which has the highest case of HIV in the world. So it's particularly sad to see that she lost her life to this deadly disease, coronavirus.
Okay, so in times as this, when the world is facing a major pandemic, and I've lost somebody as this, do you think that other scientists who aren't as renowned as she is can come up with something to help curb the coronavirus? Yes, the thing is, because this is a great loss.
Yeah, a very big one. The thing is, even since 2019, when this disease broke out, there has been a lot of research geared towards trying to provide a solution to this one. Is a novel case. Nobody knows how it works, how it came. We are still trying to understand how to manage it. So a lot of researchers have gone into their laboratories to find a way to cure this particular one, even here in Nigeria. So we're just hoping that with the amount of work being put into finding solution to this one, very soon we'll probably get a cure. There has been talks about chloroquine, but it's not yet confirmed. These are just, it's undergoing clinical trials. We are hoping that finally the results we get from this one will be the solution we've been seeking. A lot of people have died, not just this woman. A lot of, renowned world personalities have lost their life to this. And you understand that the disease actually affects more, people who are advanced in age.
Yes.
So we hope they find a cure very soon.
Well, we hope so. So, for where she was specialized, her specialty before her death, which is HIV, we know that aside from coronavirus, which is compared to HIV, we can term it as instant death because it doesn't take that much.
It doesn't take long.
Yes, it doesn't take long enough as somebody's immune system can be able to contain HIV. So, for the kind of loss that we have had now, for the person who just died, for Rinji, what do you think is going to be the fate of other people, other HIV patients?
Well, for a good thing is she's not the only one who's been trying to. It's particularly notable because she has done a lot of work in that area, and in South Africa too, which has the highest cases of HIV in the world. That's why it's quite notable. But then she's not the only one. A lot of people have also been, working towards preventing HIV, the spread of it. So we hope that wherever she dropped the baton, the next person will continue and even do better.
Well, we hope so. Okay, so let's go over to the other headline here. Okay, in another headline, the United Nations has said the current coronavirus outbreak is the biggest challenge for the world since World War II. Now, looking at this particular headline, we know that one of the major events that the whole world has been affected is the World War. Both 1 and 2, and this is more like the third World War 3, just like some people are terming it to be. So in times like this, and with this thing that United Nations has come to say, do you think the world economies are ready for this, using Nigeria as a case study?
No, let's not use Nigeria at all.
Okay, let's just leave Nigeria. Okay, since it's World Today.
It's definitely, and not just Nigeria, it's definitely going to affect a lot the world economy, actually.
Yes.
The UN said we are going into recession. If it continues this way, and the rate is alarming. The death rate is increasing by the day, the infection rate is increasing by the day. And so we are looking at now what is the US saying, that at least 200,000 people may be affected by this. And I hope it doesn't get to that point where up to 200,000 people will die. But it looks like we are getting to that point. And now, if you look at what's going on around the world, most countries are in lockdown. Nothing is working. The economy is practically shut down. So it's just the very essential one that they have to find a way to, see how
work around.
So definitely, it's going to affect the world economy. Whether we are ready for it, nobody was ready for this, unless maybe for China, that there is this talk about China is beginning to bounce back. Of course, we know that this one started in Wuhan, China, and last year too. So some people have come out to say that, okay, China appeared to have been, they appear to be ready. They were ready to have an issue for this.
Yes.
And it looks like, okay, the rate of the infection has died down. The death rate in China has died down. So it looks like the lockdown is being relaxed. More people are coming up. More businesses are open. You watch what's happening. They are now the ones sending preventive materials, protective materials to other countries. So maybe you could say, okay, China, I don't know whether they were ready, but looks like they are coming back gradually.
Okay.
But the rest of the world is still grappling and still trying to find how to, manage the whole situation. I know if it continues like this, like the UN has predicted, we're probably going into a world recession.
Okay, talking about China and world recession, all of the controversies surrounding this coronavirus, it revolves around China, as which we can say, because of all of the news that we've heard, that they are the people who initiated this thing at the first place, more like they had it all planned. Do you think that the world is moving to a mono economy now, where China becomes the number one, or just the single world power? And then we're going to, furthermore, do you think we're going to move one day, very soon, I really don't know how soon, to one currency?
A lot of conspiracies has been brought up since.
Just like the conspirationist theories speculated.
We are heading gradually towards a one world system.
Yes.
And those are for the spiritual people, the Antichrist carriers.
Okay, you don't think it's true? I mean, looking at the event of things, you don't think that may happen?
Well, what I think is totally inconsequential. But the thing is, we've passed through this before. There was SARS that killed a lot of people.
But it's not as much as this. It's not as people might want to say exaggeratable. Of course, the exaggeration is equal to the amount of destruction that it is doing.
We are hoping it doesn't get to the point where